All right, today we're tackling an empire that is so unbelievably huge, it almost breaks your brain trying to picture it. Yep, we're talking about the Mongol Empire.
And, when you're talking about the Mongols, big doesn't really cut it. We need a whole new category. I like to call it stupid big. It's the kind of scale that makes you look at a map and just go, how? How is that even possible?
So what does stupid big actually look like? Well, get this. At its peak, the Mongol Empire covered 16% of all the land on Earth. 16%! It was the biggest single land empire ever. I mean, it stretched all the way from the Sea of Japan, clear across Asia to the plains of Hungary in Europe.
But, you don't build an empire that big with handshakes and friendly letters. It comes with a really heavy and usually very bloody price tag. And that brings us to the big question for today. Were these guys visionary empire builders who connected the world, or were they just the most brutally effective conquerors in all of history? The answer, it's not simple. So let's start at the beginning. How did they even build this thing?
So how do you build something that massive? It all starts with one guy, a single incredibly driven person, and a perfectly tuned machine of conquest.
Okay, so the story kicks off with a guy named Temujin. He had a really rough start in life, but he managed to do something nobody thought was possible. He united all the feuding Mongol tribes on the steppe. And here's what was so smart about his approach. He promoted his commanders based on how good they were, on their merit, not who their dad was. In an age where everything was about your family name, that was a total game changer. It created this incredibly loyal, super effective army. And by 1206, he earned a new name, Genghis Khan, ruler of all.
So with the Mongols finally united, Genghis Khan basically unleashes them on the rest of the world. And their secret weapon, the real engine behind their insane expansion, wasn't some new kind of sword or bow. Nope, it was something much, much simpler. Their horses.
And this is where you see their strategic genius. Think about a European knight's horse, right? Big, powerful, but also kind of fragile. They needed huge supply trains carrying grain and fodder. It was a logistical nightmare. The Mongol horse, on the other hand, it was smaller, yeah, but way tougher. It could just live off the land, grazing as it went. That one simple difference gave the Mongol army a mind-blowing advantage. They could move faster and for longer distances without being bogged down by supplies. They were basically a self-sufficient cavalry storm.
Now, combine that incredible mobility with a brutally simple psychological trick. The Mongol rule for conquest was basically this: don't make our lives difficult, and we won't make yours short. If your city surrendered right away, fine, you were peacefully absorbed into the empire. But if you resisted, you were going to be wiped off the map. Completely. And they made sure everyone heard about it. It was so terrifyingly effective that cities often just gave up without even trying to fight.
And if you want the perfect, most terrifying example of this policy in action, look no further than the Khwarezmian Empire. They were a huge, powerful empire in Persia that made, what might be one of the single worst diplomatic mistakes in all of human history.
So here's what happened. Genghis Khan sends a trade caravan, basically trying to open up some friendly relations, but this local governor in the Khwarezmian Empire gets suspicious, accuses the Mongolian diplomats of being spies, and executes them. Big mistake. That single act of disrespect was the trigger. Genghis Khan was so enraged that he launched a campaign of revenge so brutal, so totally disproportionate, that his goal wasn't just to win, it was to literally erase their entire civilization from the face of the earth.
And the speed, it's just staggering. It took the Mongols only 2 years. 2 years to completely destroy this massive, powerful, established empire. It's just a terrifying testament to how fast and how ferocious that Mongol war machine really was.
But here's the thing about an empire built that fast by one guy, it's really, really hard to keep it together. After Genghis Khan died and then his immediate successors, that stupid big empire started to crack. You had civil wars, fights over who should be in charge. It started to fracture.
So that one giant empire splits into 4 smaller but still huge successor states. We call them Khanates. You've got the Yuan dynasty in China, founded by Genghis' grandson Kublai Khan. Then there was the Il Khanate in Persia, the Chagatai Khanate in Central Asia, and then up in the north, controlling Russia and the Black Sea, you had the infamous Golden Horde. And it's that last one, the Golden Horde, that plays this absolutely pivotal and horrifying part in one of the worst catastrophes in human history. Seriously, something they did during one single siege in a faraway city
would completely by accident unleash a wave of death on Europe that was bigger than anything even the Mongols could have imagined.
Okay, so check this out. It's 1346. The Golden Horde is laying siege to the city of Kaffa over in Crimea. But then, their own army starts getting wiped out by the plague. So what do? In one of the first known acts of biological warfare, they start loading their own dead, plague-infested soldiers into catapults and flinging them over the city walls. The traders inside the city, from Genoa, totally panicked and fled by ship, but it was too late. They didn't know it, but the plague was on board with them. When those ships landed in Europe, they unleashed the Black Death, a plague that would eventually kill nearly half the entire population of the continent.
So, that brings us right back to where we started. How on earth do you judge an empire like this? An empire that's responsible for reconnecting the entire known world, but also for acts of just unbelievable destruction.
I mean, the final tally is it's a mess. On the good side, you have the reopening of the Silk Road, which led to this incredible explosion of trade and communication between East and West. They created a postal system that stretched across a continent. They ran things based on merit. But the bad side? Wow. It's a list of countless massacres, the total destruction of entire cultures, and, oh yeah, accidentally starting the Black Death in Europe.
So, was it worth it? Honestly, there is no easy answer to that. The Mongol legacy is just full of these deep, violent contradictions. You can't just ignore the staggering death toll, but you also can't dismiss the fact that they connected the world in a way it had never been before. Trying to judge any empire is tough, but with the Mongols, the stakes are just so much higher, because the scale of both the good and the bad, as we said right at the beginning, is just stupid big.